And when,
Go ahead, I'll go after you.
Okay.
if you just sign in and state your name for the record, and we ask to have a 5-minute time limit, please.
My name is Cheryl Boyce. I live on Point Circle. And actually, I have to apologize to council. I'm not turning my back on purpose, but I believe the answer is over here, one of the gentlemen, Mr. Weldon. I know I was watching the last meeting, and we are going to have logging in Turnpike Gardens, between Turnpike Gardens and Abers Creek, correct?
Correct.
Who has oversight for the buffer zone? I understand we are going to have a 25.
You got it.
I can't hear.
Can you,
Why don't you
okay.
address me, but
Okay.
he's listening. Trust
Okay,
me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Mr. Weldon, the buffer zone, which I understand is 25 feet. This time there will be a buffer zone, correct?
Correct.
Who has oversight for that? Do we have a clue? Who has oversight?
Oversight to the buffer zone.
The buffer zone.
The applicant has provided us with a survey, so we know where the buffer zone is supposed to be.
Okay.
And if you think there is something in violation of the buffer zone, we can come out and try to work it out. But as far as what they have submitted, they are maintaining the 25-foot buffer zone.
Okay, the reason I brought this to your attention, so you all know if you haven't followed this situation, we had, and Bob Serafini's been here and he's given you updates about this, we had to find in 2017, we had to go back and hire a surveyor to come in, because twice now they've marked trees that were either not in their property, nor was it in the 25 feet buffer zone. So I guess my question is, first of all, the buffer zone. There clearly, you have to know where the line is in order to have a buffer zone. If you don't know where your property line is, the buffer zone becomes irrelevant. And clearly they've proven twice now, or we wouldn't have paid the money to have someone survey the property, they don't have a clue. Now, it's much easier when you're in a residential area and you have a lot, because first of all, and I'll be honest, the stakes disappear over time. You live there 30. My neighbor next door lived there like 50 years. He was an original homeowner. Those things disappear. That's why we went ahead and hired somebody to come in. And we clearly now have it marked so they know exactly where it is. They are confused. It's very easy for us to know. The county has it. We have the original surveys. Actually, my neighbor next door, who lived there for 50 years, he had the builder's surveys of each lot. So now it's clearly marked. The problem is not everybody on the hillside did what we did. So we know they're confused, and we know that they don't know where their property line is. So I don't know what they've said to the municipality, but I'll be honest with you, I'm retired now. If I have to take a lawn chair and sit on my path and watch them do this, I will do that, because they've proven to me twice. And once I spend money on a surveyor, I am going to be very serious about what they're doing. So I don't trust them to know where the property line is. They've already proven that they don't know. I'm going to assume it's the same logging company. Is it the same logging company that as before from Ohio? Do we know?
It is Ron Fulton.
Do you know where they're from? Because I've already told the logging company, along with the forester, who, by the way, was very gracious. He was very nice about this when we went through this last year before we had it surveyed, and I explained our concern that it's very hard. When you have a large piece of property with a lot of woods, and if you're not going to really pay the money to have it surveyed correctly, you're like, you know,
At their mercy.
At their mercy. That's why we said, we're done with this. We know they're wrong. So that, but unfortunately, not all my neighbors did this. So if it's the same logging company,
I don't think it is. I think it was Y&B last time.
they were from Ohio, which I thought was interesting because Pennsylvania says this promotes more jobs in Pennsylvania, and they hired an Ohio logging company. So, but anyway, I'd like to know the name because I did send them a letter. And I explained in detail, both to the forester and to the logging company at that point, what we were going to do, why we did it. I did a follow-up letter to say we have had it surveyed, and your client is wrong. And that it's now clearly marked, at least in a certain area of that hillside. And the other thing I'd like to know is when you do a buffer zone, do you go straight down the hill when you measure, or do you go out from the buffer zone and then down?
It's 25 feet from the property line.
from the property line, so irregardless of how you measure it. Because there's a distinct difference if you go through all those trees and weeds as opposed to if you go straight out and down.
It'd be the land distance, I would believe.
It's the land distance down the hill. Because that whole thing, if you came and looked, they are really confused about what belongs where. So I just want to have some...
We're talking about the company or the
The
resident?
company, I think it's a combination, Greg. I think the resident, in the beginning, when he bought it, he marked some trees initially, because this has been going on with this marking of the tree over there. This is not new. I think initially he was confused. He's making the assumption our yards go out, down, and then flattens out again. He's making the assumption that either our yards stop where it's flat with the grass, or the hillside, not thinking that it also goes down into the woods a little bit. And so they're making assumptions based on the hillside, and that may be true for some yards. That is not true for all the yards. So I think it's a combination of the forest, or the logging company may be listening to the owner, who clearly has proven to us he's clueless about where his...
I just don't understand the whole thing. If I own property and I want to have it, the trees cut, I should be responsible to find the boundary.
You would think.
You
would
mark off
think.
the boundary, then here's 25 foot, and move on.
but that
And
hasn't
then there
happened.
is no confusion. But we don't require them to lay out their boundary. It just amazes me.
Well, you would think when they
Throughout
bought-
this,
Yeah, no,
tried
I
this.
agree with you, and you can imagine when we had to pay to have it done.
Yeah,
to make a
naturally. Why
point.
should the burden be on you?
Right.
You're not benefiting from the
But you
tree
know,
cutting.
Mr. Zungin, here's the other issue. If you come into my house and take something of mine and you sell it and get money for it, I call the police because you're doing something illegal. If you go on my property, take a tree down that's my tree, and you get paid for that, it's the same thing.
And once it's down, it's too late.
It is, but you've now taken money that is
you can,
not
but-
yours to take. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of different
I was just,
reasons.
I've been confused from the get-go on all this, as far
Well,
as...
you should live there and you'd be
Yeah,
more
I
confused.
can understand where you're...
We'll have oversight. We'll pay attention. If there's any issues, I will get the name of the logging company, since that's someone different. And I apologize if I'm taking too long. It's just,
No, no,
this has
no,
been
no.
an
No,
ongoing,
good luck. I hope this goes better this time.
I don't trust that to happen,
Well,
but,
but we can hope for you that
well, I
maybe-
think we're more educated. I learned
Yes.
more about forestry and the state than I ever wanted to know.
I
But
hear
now,
ya.
but now I
I hear
know.
ya.
But thank you for listening, and we'll see how this all
Okay.
plays
Good
out.
Thank you.
Thank
And then
you.
certainly the residents in that area, if there's any issues, please contact
Oh,
the municipality,
yeah,
and
we will.
if we need to get somebody up there from engineering department.
Yeah. Mr. Serafini will keep us
I'll
up to
echo what
date.
Paul said. If there's a problem, just call us.
Absolutely.
We can have a field meeting.
Exactly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.